I want you to imagine eating a piece of food, right? Say a piece of chicken, and your body having to literally burn calories just to figure out what to do with it.
Right, the sheer effort of digesting it.
Exactly. It's this biological phenomenon called the thermic effect of food. It basically means your metabolism is going into overdrive, like firing up the furnace, just to break down the complex structure of what you just swallowed.
Which is a huge deal. I mean, contrast that with chugging down a highly processed liquid protein shake.
Yeah.
Your stomach barely has to work on that before it floods your bloodstream. The difference between those two scenarios is just monumental if you're trying to change your body.
It really is.
It's the difference between making your digestive system run a marathon versus just letting it sit on the couch.
That is such a good way to put it.
And that metabolic effort is arguably the most overlooked factor in the entire conversation around diet and fitness. Like, people obsess over the sheer number of grams of protein.
Oh, totally. Just looking at the macro numbers.
Right, but they completely ignore the biological architecture of the food itself.
Which brings us to today's deep dive. We are looking at a single, incredibly focused source document. It's not a textbook. It's not some 3-hour influencer lecture.
Yeah, it's refreshingly brief.
It really is. It's essentially a single sentence that repeats this core philosophy, almost like a mantra. The document is titled Natural Protein Sources for Slim Body Goals. And honestly, in a world where we are constantly bombarded with chaotic diet advice, reading this felt like walking into a quiet room.
It's radical in its simplicity. I mean, it strips away all the modern dietary noise and gives you an absolute baseline of human nutrition.
Okay, let's unpack this, because that repeating sentence is the entire universe we are exploring today.
Let's hear it.
So it goes like this. Natural protein sources such as lentils, beans, tofu, eggs, yogurt, and lean meats support healthy weight management.
That's it.
That's the list. 6 items. So for you listening, our mission today is to deeply analyze this specific, carefully curated menu. We want to uncover how these exact foods bridge the gap between wanting a slim body and the actual, physiological reality of getting one.
And when you only have one sentence to work with, every single word is doing heavy lifting.
Yeah.
The author didn't just throw 6 random proteins into a hat. There is a deeply rooted biological rationale for this exact sequence.
I definitely want to get into the science of that list, but right away, I noticed a friction point between the title of this document and the text itself.
Oh, the phrasing.
Yeah. The title promises slim body goals, which, sounds highly aesthetic. It's what you search for when you want to look good for a beach vacation.
Right, it's aspirational.
Exactly. But the moment you read the actual text, it drops the word slim entirely and strictly states these proteins support healthy weight management.
Yes.
That sounds functional,
Yeah.
almost clinical even. I found myself wondering, is there a physiological difference here, or is it just semantics?
What's fascinating here is how that language shift mirrors a biological shift that actually has to happen in your body.
Okay, how so?
Let's look at the physiological difference. When people chase a slim body as a purely aesthetic goal, they usually resort to severe calorie restriction.
Like crash dieting.
Exactly. And biologically, your body perceives that sudden lack of energy as a starvation event. So what does it do? It adapts.
It goes into survival mode.
Right. It actually slows down your metabolic rate, and worse, it starts breaking down your lean muscle tissue for energy.
Oh, wow. Why muscle?
Because muscle is metabolically expensive to maintain. So you might get visually slim, but your metabolism is completely crashed.
So you're shrinking, but you're actually becoming less efficient at burning energy.
Precisely. You end up with less muscle and a sluggish metabolism, which is why the weight rebounds the second you eat normally again.
Which happens to everyone, it seems like.
Yeah. But healthy weight management, on the other hand, is about preserving your basal metabolic rate.
Oh.
It means supplying your body with the structural materials it needs to hold on to muscle mass while gently encouraging it to tap into fat stores for energy.
So the document is subtly telling you that a sustainable, aesthetically slim body is actually the byproduct of a metabolically stable machine.
Spot on.
I love that distinction. And for you listening, think about how that shifts your own mindset. Like, if you wake up and your goal is, I need to get slim quickly, there's this sense of panic to your food choices.
Very true.
But if your internal vocabulary changes to, I am actively managing a complex metabolic machine today, it totally changes your approach. It removes the desperation.
It anchors you in biology rather than emotion.
So we have the destination, right? Preserving the metabolic machine through healthy weight management. Now we have to look at the fuel required to do that. And that brings us to the first crucial keyword in the source text, which is natural.
which is a word that often gets hijacked by marketing, honestly.
Oh, completely.
But here, it serves as the ultimate biological constraint.
Exactly. And I was trying to visualize what natural actually means when we're talking about digestion. Because I used to think of protein just as a number on a nutrition label.
Right, like 20 grams is 20 grams.
Yeah. But reading this made me realize it's a physical structure. It's like building a house. You want to build it with raw, solid timber, not some flimsy synthetic material if you want it to last.
It's a great analogy.
Think of digesting a natural protein, like trying to untangle a massive, complicated knot made of thick ropes. Your stomach acid and enzymes have to work tirelessly to pry those fibers apart.
Which takes time.
Yes, it takes time, burns energy, and keeps you feeling full. But if you consume a highly processed synthetic protein like one of those lab-engineered shakes or isolated protein powders, it's like someone already took scissors to the knot. You
Right.
just swallow a bunch of pre-cut tiny strings.
That is an excellent way to conceptualize the mechanics of digestion. Because when you swallow that pre-processed isolated protein, you are completely bypassing the thermic effect we mentioned earlier.
Because the work is already done?
Exactly. Your body doesn't have to work to break it down. It passes rapidly through gastric emptying, hitting your intestines and your bloodstream almost instantaneously.
Which sounds efficient, right. But I'm guessing efficiency isn't always what we want.
Not for weight management, no. Because when nutrients flood your system that rapidly, they often trigger a corresponding spike in your blood sugar and insulin levels.
And insulin is basically a storage hormone, right?
Precisely. When insulin levels are highly elevated, your body fundamentally pauses fat burning and just shifts into storage mode.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because the document doesn't just leave us with the abstract concept of untangling ropes, it gives us a highly specific 6-item blueprint to work with. And the order of these items, like the actual syntax, feels very intentional.
How so?
Well, it deliberately starts with 3 plant-based sources before it even whispers the idea of an animal product. Lentils, beans, tofu. That is the vanguard of this list. And I have to admit, it threw me off a bit. I've been conditioned to think of a steak or a chicken breast as the ultimate protein source. So what is the biological advantage of leading with legumes and soy?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, leading with lentils and beans introduces the single most powerful tool for slowing down digestion:
Which is?
soluble fiber. Natural plant proteins don't exist in isolation. They are tightly interwoven with complex carbohydrates and dense fiber matrices.
So they're the thickest part of the knot.
Exactly. When you eat lentils or beans, that soluble fiber enters your digestive tract and literally absorbs water.
Okay.
And it forms this thick, viscous gel. This gel physically traps the carbohydrates and amino acids, releasing them into your bloodstream at an incredibly slow, sustained drip.
Wow.
And that slow drip means your blood sugar remains perfectly flat. Your pancreas doesn't have to panic and flood your system with insulin.
So the bouncer at the Fat Cell Club, insulin, stays calm, and your body's allowed to stay in a state where it can comfortably burn stored fat for energy between meals.
Right. And you stay satiated for hours because there is physical volume and sustained chemical signaling telling your brain, hey, we have energy, no need to trigger a hunger craving.
I see why they are the foundation then. But I did pause when I thought tofu right next to beans.
Why is that?
Because, well, lentils grow in the dirt, right? But tofu comes in a plastic container filled with water at the grocery store. It feels processed.
It is processed, but it's crucial to distinguish between mechanical processing and synthetic ultra-processing.
Okay, that makes sense.
Tofu is an ancient food. The process of making it is essentially just soaking soybeans, crushing them, and curdling the soy milk.
So like making cheese.
It's virtually identical to the biological process of making cheese from milk. It retains a highly digestible, complete amino acid profile without introducing synthetic chemicals or stripping away all the natural scaffolding of the food.
Gotcha.
It's a complete plant protein, meaning it has all 9 essential amino acids your body can't make on its own.
Okay, so we have our plant-based vanguard. The slow-burning high-fiber foundation. But the sentence continues. Flowing directly from the plants, we get the animal-derived complements: eggs, yogurt, and lean meats.
Right.
To stick with our construction idea, if the plants are the heavy, load-bearing concrete foundation of a healthy diet, these animal proteins feel like the precision tools. They act differently in the body, right?
They do, and it comes down to a concept called bioavailability.
Which means what, exactly? Like how much actually gets absorbed?
Essentially, yes. Bioavailability measures how efficiently and rapidly your body can extract the amino acids from a food and incorporate them into your own human tissue.
Okay.
Animal proteins are biologically closer to our own cellular makeup than plant proteins. Therefore, foods like eggs and lean meats possess an amino acid profile that our bodies can utilize with near perfect efficiency.
So they're ready to go.
Exactly. If you are trying to repair muscle tissue after a workout, which is vital for maintaining that metabolic engine we talked about, bioavailable animal protein provides the exact building blocks required with very little waste.
But the document puts up very specific guardrails here. It doesn't give you a blank check to eat any animal product. It specifically limits it to eggs, yogurt, and lean meats.
Yes, the word lean is key.
Why that adjective? Why lean?
Because of caloric density, remember the overarching goal is weight management. Animal fats are primarily saturated fats, which are incredibly dense in calories.
Right.
We're talking more than double the calories per gram compared to protein or carbohydrates. If the text recommended heavily marbled ribeye steaks or thick-cut bacon, you would be getting highly bioavailable protein. Yes,
With the catch.
a huge catch. It would be piggybacking on a massive influx of fat calories. By specifying lean meats, think poultry, white fish, or lean cuts of beef, it isolates the muscle-preserving protein benefit while mitigating the excess energy that leads to weight gain.
It's precision. Getting exactly what you need without the metabolic baggage. And I want to
Right.
circle back to yogurt because that really stands out to me. It didn't say milk. It didn't say cheese.
That is perhaps the most advanced biological insight in the entire list.
Really?
Yeah, by specifying yogurt, the document introduces the microbiome into the weight management equation.
The bacteria in our gut.
Yes. Yogurt is a fermented food, meaning it is teeming with live probiotics. We now know that your gut microbiome isn't just a passive tube, it's an active hormone-producing organ.
That's wild.
The bacteria in your gut actually communicate directly with your metabolism and your brain. When you feed a healthy microbiome, those microbes produce compounds called short-chain fatty acids.
And what do those fatty acids actually do?
They travel through the bloodstream and actually stimulate the release of satiety hormones like GLP-1.
Oh, wow.
They also communicate with the vagus nerve, which runs straight from your gut to your brain, sending a powerful signal that you are nourished and full.
That is fascinating.
So yogurt isn't just providing protein. It is actively upgrading the software of your digestive system to regulate your own appetite naturally.
The food is literally talking to your brain.
Mm-hmm.
And, looking at this whole list, lentils, beans, tofu, eggs, yogurt, lean meats, I'm just struck by the sheer variety.
It's a very broad spectrum.
It is. For anyone listening who has ever felt trapped by diet culture, where you have to declare yourself a strict vegan or a hardcore carnivore, this is incredibly freeing. This isn't a restrictive dogma.
Not at all.
It's a dietary spectrum. You could build 100 different cultural cuisines out of these 6 ingredients.
It proves that biological health doesn't require ideological purity. You can leverage the slow-burning fiber of the plant world and the high-efficiency bioavailability of the animal world simultaneously.
So we've decoded the goal, and we understand the biological power of this 6-item toolkit. Now we have to look at the verb that connects them. The source document says these foods support healthy weight management.
Right.
And I have to be honest, I want to push back on that word.
Support feels inadequate to you.
It feels passive. Like if I'm putting in the effort to overhaul my diet, I want the food to do more than just support me. The marketing we are all used to uses aggressive active verbs.
True. Melt, destroy, blast.
Exactly.
Huh.
We are told certain superfoods will melt fat, or a specific supplement will destroy cravings, or a diet will cause extreme weight loss. But this text doesn't claim these natural proteins cause anything. It just says they support the process.
Yeah.
So what does this all mean? Is the author just playing it safe?
Actually, it's the exact opposite. The author is being relentlessly scientifically accurate. And this might be the hardest pill for modern diet culture to swallow. But food does not burn fat.
Wait, slow down there. Say that again.
Food does not burn fat.
Yep.
Your body burns fat, provided it is in the right metabolic environment.
Okay.
The idea of a magic bullet food that actively attacks fat cells is a physiological myth. If you eat a massive bowl of lentils and eggs, but you remain entirely sedentary and consume more energy than you expend, you will not lose a single ounce of weight.
Makes sense.
The word support is meant to dismantle the illusion that the food will do the work for you.
So the food isn't the contractor building the house. The food is just the scaffolding.
That's a perfect way to look at it. Let's look at the actual hormones involved. We talked about how these natural proteins prevent insulin spikes and feed the microbiome.
Right.
They also suppress ghrelin, which is your body's primary hunger hormone, while simultaneously elevating leptin, which is the hormone that signals fullness.
So they're optimizing the internal environment.
Right. If your ghrelin is suppressed and your blood sugar is stable, you aren't fighting agonizing cravings at 9 p.m.
Which is huge.
If your muscles have a steady supply of bioavailable amino acids, you have the physical energy and recovery capacity to actually go to the gym. These six foods don't do the push-ups for you, and they don't forcibly remove fat from your waistline.
They just set the stage.
Exactly. What they do is provide the most robust, biologically stable scaffolding possible so that your own behavioral efforts, your movement, your sleep, your portion control can actually succeed.
This raises an important question for you listening. How do you view the food on your plate? Are you expecting it to be the magic cure that fixes everything while you just sit back?
That's a trap a lot of people fall into.
Yeah. Or do you see it as a structural support system for your own actions? Because framing it as support actually puts the responsibility back on you, but it gives you the absolute best biological tools to handle that responsibility without feeling like you're starving.
It moves you away from relying on a miracle and towards relying on your own metabolic stability.
Totally.
And because this document repeats this exact sentence relentlessly, it acts as an anchor. When you're overwhelmed by the newest fad diet claiming to shred calories, you can return to this absolute biological truth. Natural proteins simply, effectively support the machine.
It's amazing how much depth is hidden in one single sentence. I mean, we started with the aesthetic lure of slim body goals and immediately pivoted to the biological necessity of healthy weight management to protect our metabolism.
Right.
We explored why the complex, hard-to-digest nature of natural proteins is so vital for keeping insulin in check. We unpacked this incredibly diverse, six-item toolkit, starting with the soluble fiber vanguard of lentils, beans, and tofu, and rounding it out with the bioavailable precision of eggs, yogurt, and lean meats.
It's a comprehensive approach.
And finally, we confronted the reality that these foods are not magic bullets. They are the hormonal and structural scaffolding that supports our own efforts.
It is a masterclass in human nutrition, basically distilled into just 20 words.
It really is. But before we wrap up today, we want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. Our source document is unyielding. It gives you exactly 6 categories of food to build this foundation. No more, no less.
So consider this. If you had to strip your diet down tomorrow and choose just one of these explicitly named items to be the absolute keystone of your nutrition, the single pillar you build the rest of your meals around, which one would it be?
Ooh, that's tough.
Would you choose the ancient, fiber-rich resilience of the lentil? Or the highly bioavailable microbiome-feeding complexity of the yogurt? And if you truly committed to relying on just that one foundational food, how would that redefine what the word natural actually means in your daily life?
That is a phenomenal question to ask yourself the next time you are standing in a grocery store aisle surrounded by all those screaming labels. Because when you strip away the noise and the marketing, the reality of managing your health is actually wonderfully naturally quiet. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Now go find your foundation and start building. Catch you next time.